I don't know when this relationship between Kyler Murray and the Cardinals is going to end. I don't know exactly how. I do know how, as in badly. And I just know that it will end. Because the writing's on the wall. And worse than on the wall, the writing's on the internet. The writing, it came in the form of a statement from Kyler Murray's agent, Eric Burkhart. Now, I'm not an agent, and far be it from me to tell somebody how to do his or her proverbial job or particular job, but this ain't it. And this ain't it because if this is what you have to resort to, then even if you somehow come to terms on a long-term contract agreement, there is already a seed of distrust. There is a seed of discontent. There is already something about this dynamic that has made you think, as the player and the player's representative, he works for the player. So this is Kyler Murray too. This is not just the agent. This is with Kyler Murray's blessing that you think that it helps negotiations to tell the organization in the form of a public statement that actions speak much louder than words in this volatile business. To tell the world that we have given the Cardinals a long-term contract proposal, that Kyler Murray wants to be there. This is worse than scrubbing your entire Instagram of all things Cardinals.
I don't know about that, but it's bad. It's bad.
Well,
it's
here's
bad.
why. Because at least the scrubbing of the Instagram leaves room for interpretation and can be cleared up quite simply. They have taken negotiations public, which is negotiating 101 cardinal, pun intended, cardinal sin. This is a cardinal sin to take a negotiation public. But again, what is it about this negotiation, or the difference in how the Cardinals view Kyler versus how Kyler views Kyler? What is it about it that's forced him to resort to this? This is extreme. And there's no coming back from this. So with your franchise quarterback, especially 3 years in, if you ain't already got a long-term deal, number one, you ain't already got a long-term deal, that's a red flag. We're talking about red flags on social media these days. Red flag number one. You ain't got a long-term deal with your number one overall pick 3 years in. That's number one. Number two, if you got to take it public, if you got to put our business in the street, bro, in front of my wife and everything, if you got to say action speaks louder than words, like you trying to hold their feet to the fire publicly, bro, I don't care if they come to a contract. There will always be a level of animus that I don't know that there's a number that can put this proverbial toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah,
something's
that's
wrong
the problem. Look, clearly something's wrong. When you start making statements and you're not talking to each other, you're talking for a spin. You're talking for a particular position. So this is all about leverage.
The quarterback, Michael, real quick, the quarterback. This ain't a wide receiver.
Yeah.
This is the quarterback. This is the face of your franchise. It ain't supposed to come to this.
Yeah. See, it's not Murray talking to the Cardinals and the Cardinals talking to Murray. It's Murray talking to the fans with the Cardinals just kind of being there. He's just kind of like, it's like a little bank shot. I'm going to bank the Cardinals, but I'm really going here. I'm really talking to them. And the Cardinals are doing the same thing. You know, Michael Bidwill's doing the same thing, talking about Kyler. Yeah. He's not really talking to Kyler, talking to the fans. Hey, this is what we've done. We want him here. So they're trying to set up their position.
Off the record, all that stuff,
You said there's no coming back from this. That's the problem. Somebody is going to be on that altar. Somebody's going to be sacrificed. So if Kyler Murray is there, then the head coach is probably not there. Like, somebody's going to pay the price for it. Because you're right. They can't, if he signs with them, or head coach, somebody's going to pay the price for this. So if they hold on to Murray, then this is not the team around him. If they hold on to the team and they say, we stand with Steve Keim, we stand with Cliff Kingsbury, then Kyler Murray is probably going somewhere else. But yeah, this is really bad. You know, you just don't, and you get to this point, it doesn't help anybody. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they're not really trying to do what's best for the Cardinals. They're trying to do what's best for their respective parties. So the Cardinals, hey, we're trying to take care of the Cardinals. Not necessarily Murray. Murray said we're trying to take care of us, not the Cardinals. It's bad though.
It's never going to truly be all good. It's never going to truly be all good.
It just matters who's going out.
You know,
that's really the question. Who's going out?
Money doesn't change you. It makes you more of who you already are. And if the Cardinals have reservations about Kyler Murray, either as a quarterback or as an individual, as a leader, as a face of their franchise, giving him more money and acquiescing to what he wants isn't going to change those things, isn't going to alleviate those concerns. Now, first and foremost, this should go without saying for me, in my 20 years of work, and my particular brand, but I'll say it anyway. Yo, man, get your bread. Get your bread. Get your money. Get your money. Like, I will never begrudge a player for wanting to get his money. If that requires a holdout, if that requires an interview, whatever that is.
Thank you for saying
I'm
that.
saying at this position, as a franchise quarterback, you either know or you don't. And if you don't know, then you kind of know. So as an organization, it should not be your negotiation with a franchise quarterback, if you're committed to him, should not get to a point where his agent or the player, and by extension the agent, feel compelled to take it to the streets. This is a bad look.
Well,
and even if they ultimately agree, this will always be lingering. This negotiation these hard feelings, you know how that works, Michael. There are certain things in relationships, certain things that you may forgive, but you don't forget. And you may move on.
Well, you're not supposed to
You may move on. Right, but you may move on. But it's in the back of your mind. You're like, you know what? I remember when you said that. And we'll move forward amicably. But I remember when you said that. I remember when you did that. And it's going to factor into something down the road. Just a matter of what it is. If you're thinking that way,
well, let me just say this then. If you're thinking that way, then that's not a good marriage. Because a good marriage.
That's all I'm saying.
And I don't know. Okay, because it's fine. You're not supposed to forget it. But if it's really a problem, counseling. I recommend counseling. I think it's great for everybody. Get some counseling, and then maybe you can go forward. So are the Cardinals and Kyler prepared to go to counseling? Or is it beyond that?
This is the agent.
If it is beyond
Kyler,
that, if it's beyond that, why?
Kyler remains hopeful that the organization chooses to commit so that he can continue leading the Cardinals to further success and value for many years to come. I mean, okay, man. Like, look, do what you got to do. Again, that's not going to get it. That's not going to cut it.
You know what?
No organization is going to respond favorably to you basically saying, hey, ball's in their court, as if a negotiation ain't a two-way street. What does Kyler Murray think he deserves, given they say you're only as funky as your last cut? He stunk the last game he played. Get your bread, get your money, but from a football standpoint, I could see why they might not be rushing to break the bank for this dude.
Bruh, as an aside, for if I were a professional athlete, I know that's a stretch. If I were a professional athlete, you wouldn't even know my agent's name. Like, you ain't got, like, don't say, I don't want you out there. You know, I don't want a celebrity agent. I want you to work behind the scenes. I want you to get me as much money as possible, but don't speak for me. Don't speak for me. Don't go on the record. Don't talk to nobody.
But this just tells you, where are the negotiations that this is the next step? But what has happened behind the scenes where an experienced agent believes that this is the wise next move?
Okay.
This ain't happening out of the blue. Clearly he was like, you know what? They've left us no choice.
Oh, come on. Well, that's a bad decision. That's a bad decision.
I agree.
By the agent. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.